Today, we become legends.
Hey, my name's Inter, welcome back to the channel, and today we have some more of your hottest and spiciest Smite takes to review. Last time I did one of these was quite a while ago. We've had year 10 since then, which has changed the game, honestly, quite radically, and so I'm sure there's a lot of new hot takes you guys have about Smite, and so I decided, let's do another one of these. It's always fun to react to your guys' hot takes, see what you guys think about the game. Now, some of them I end up agreeing with, some of them I end up absolutely disagreeing with, but we shall see. So I've got a YouTube community post that I put out, as well as a channel in my Discord server to go over, and so yeah, without further ado, let's just jump right in. So, the devs have been thinking on Shaq's abilities for a very long time and produced the best design so far. 4 abilities equals 4 circles of varying sizes. You know, that's actually true. That's actually true. Even the rain is just a circle. Or 2 circles if you got the axe down. Yeah, that is pretty much check. You can't judge your ADC's performance too hard until near endgame. Too many games that were winnable if we didn't surrender at 12. I kind of agree with this, but also kind of disagree with this. I don't know if this is just me, and maybe I'm being elitist or something, but I can often tell if, like, one of my players that I have on my team is just, like, going to be a dud. That might sound harsh, and I don't want to judge people too hard, but, like, also, you can judge your ADC's performance on their early and mid-game. That is part of the game, you know, getting through the early and mid-game as an ADC is part of it. If you're 0-7 in the first 10 minutes, just because you're playing ADC doesn't mean you're going to get to late game and actually win the game, basically. Also, as we're going down this community post, their posts are going to get less and less likes, so in theory, they're going to get more and more crazy the further we go down this post, because I imagine the ones with the most amount of likes are actually not hot takes, because people are liking it, saying they agree. And of course, the hottest of takes, no one will agree with, and they'll have 0 likes. It isn't always the jungler's fault. Again, not a super hot take, but yeah, junglers and supports do often get blamed the most because they're the roaming roles. They get blamed the most for not being where the team wants them to be, because like you can't really expect the solo laner to be always in mid lane or whatever because they have a lane to cover, but with junglers and supports they kind of have to be everywhere, and so they're also expected to be everywhere by their team. They're expected to be in mid, solo and duo at the same time, and they often get blamed for it. Split farm as much as possible is quite literally the most efficient way to farm. People always complain about splitting buffs and waves. Like, solo farm is nice sometimes, but splitting farm is okay in mid to late game. In the late game, splitting farm is absolutely fine. Once you're out of the laning phase, everyone is splitting everything. You're just kind of roaming as a team, you know, maybe roaming as like a 2 and a 3, or just roaming as like a 4 and a 1, or the whole 5 team or whatever, and you end up splitting a lot of farm in the late game. Early game, it kind of depends on the situation. Obviously, supports generally will end up splitting a lot with their mid, and maybe a little bit with their ADC or their jungler or something like that. So it's not... It technically is the most efficient way to farm, as long as you're also keeping on top of the map. So you get 120% XP if you are splitting it. So if you're splitting it with 2 people, each person gets 60, for example. So yes, that is a 20% bonus farm in total that your team is getting. But you've also got to keep in mind that if you're like splitting duo with someone and you're leaving up something else, like if your minion wave is dying in your lane, or if your jungle camps are being left not being taken on respawn, you're actually being a bit inefficient with that. So you gotta be a little bit careful with how much you split. You don't want to be constantly splitting at the cost of losing farm on the map. But if you're comfortably farming the whole map and you're killing camps on cooldown, you're making sure you get all your waves, then yes, splitting will increase your overall team farm output. Alright, we're starting to get down to some of the less liked posts now. Beads and Aegis should be a single relic together. They are the most popular relics and built together very often. Combining them would not only increase the usage rates of other relics, but replaces 2 get out of jail free cards with just 1, making it easier to confirm a kill. It can be annoying when the player has forms of CC immunity in their kit along with beads, and then Aegis waiting for any follow-up. This way, if they beads, they can't Aegis later in the fight, and vice versa. So this one is really interesting. A lot of people have suggested this, and I think if this ever were to be a thing, the game would need a significant overhaul. I'm not necessarily opposed to this, but if this change was just made with no other like ancillary changes to sort out the meta that would ensue from this change, then it could end up being really bad. Beads and Aegis are essential core to Smite. If you removed one of them, especially beads, but even if you just removed Aegis, squishies would suffer substantially, and we'd probably be in an instant tank meta, I reckon. So you'd have to be a little bit careful with how you do this. Also, I feel like if you combine beads and Aegis, the actual Aegis part would never get used unless you were just Aegising damage from like a CC that you're already beating. I feel like you're never going to use this just as an Aegis. I mean, you might very occasionally, you know, if a Vulcan ult's coming for you or whatever, or maybe a Syl ult, you probably still would use it as Aegis occasionally, but the vast majority of the time you'd be using it as beads, because beads, CCs and Smite kill you just as much as a big raw damage ability does, because it guarantees hits on you if you're stunned and stuff like that. So people would probably also use it as beads a lot of the time. I don't know about this one. It's probably why it has 7 likes and 9 replies. Kind of got a bit ratioed there. Very controversial change. Probably one of the first, like, genuinely spicy takes we've had in the video so far. There needs to be more than 5 classes with less restrictions on what they build. If everyone is OP, then no one is. Erlang needs ×2 hits back if he doesn't have the knock-up. More than 5 classes, I semi-agree with. I think maybe even not necessarily more than 5 classes, but subclasses could be quite cool. Even if, like, they don't necessarily change, like, you know, damage type or, like, base stats or anything like that. Just subclasses to more easily identify what a character is best at, I think would be a great idea. I've made videos on this in the past, you know, that there should be an enchanter class, which is like the utility mages, like Eset, Baron, the healers, that kind of stuff. And then there should be a fighter class, which is like the tankier assassins and the more damage-focused warriors. So like Erlang, Raven, Thor, maybe Fenrir, a lot of those will go into the fighter class. And I think having subclasses would be really cool. You could even have like ability hunters as a subclass of hunters or something like that. The 06 ADC was making the right calls. Is this a Zapman reference? I feel like this might be a Zapman reference. Otherwise, I don't really know why this has so many likes. Obviously, the 06 ADC, I mean, they can be making the right calls, I guess, but they're probably not making the right calls, at least for themselves, if they're diving in and dying 6 times. Arachne would be better designed with her old ult, make a few tweaks to it, and bring it back into the modern Smite environment. I don't think so. As much as I don't like Arachne's ult, I think her old ult was, like, extremely dated and would just be even weaker than her current ult if you brought it back. They would have to do something more substantial with it, I think. You should always play late game gods because you're almost never punished for losing early. This is very true. This is very true, especially in casuals and, you know, mid to, or like low to high end ranked. Or like top end ranked, you will get punished pretty hard by people just playing pressure. But a lot of the time, yeah, in lower ranks or in random uncoordinated casuals, teams don't know how to end the game, especially in this meta where it's been notoriously hard to end games in year 10, games going like 40 minutes and stuff. If you're just playing a Kronos, or you're playing a Freya, or you're playing an Artemis, or you're playing any of that good stuff, an Amaterasu, you're going to get to late game the vast majority of games. Very few games, unless they're F6s, end in like under 25 minutes lately. So yeah, completely agree with this one. If you truly just want to win random casuals, just play a late game god and hyper carry. Absolutely the way to go. Tanks have not been a problem since Dirty Bubble, and we as tank mains are usually the first to get nerfed and last to get buffed, usually much too late to matter, making only like 3 to 5 supports meta at a time. Yeah, I do kind of agree with this. Whether it's a hot take, I don't know. I feel like it's not that much of a hot take. I feel like in general, tanks do get a bit of the short end of the stick in terms of like buffs and nerfs and stuff like that. Like even in year 10 where we've had a couple of metas, like other than specifically the mitigation meta, tanks were broken in the mitigation meta, but it got nerfed within like 2 weeks of people discovering it. So and like that kind of stuff just like crit existed for about 3 months before they nerfed it when it was in a broken state. So I think, yeah, in general, this is true. Tanks generally do get the short end of the stick in terms of if they become meta, they get instantly nerfed, and if they're not meta, it takes a while for them to get buffed. Set is the most perfectly designed god in the game. He has consistently played in almost every role and successful in all roles. All of his abilities play off of each other. I do agree that Set is very well designed. Most perfectly designed god in the game, I don't think so. Off the top of my head, I won't be able to think of anyone like much better. Maybe Yamoja. I personally think King Arthur. There will be a few that I think are better, but Set is very well designed. Mainly from this part though, like all of his abilities play off of each other. He flows really well. He has a unique playstyle. I think being consistently played in almost every role isn't necessarily an indication of a well-designed god. It can actually be an indication of a poorly designed god. You know, if this guy's just seeing play in every single damage role, and also solo sometimes, that's arguably like a little bit of an oversaturated design, potentially, if you can see play in so many roles. But yeah, I do agree that Set is very well designed. I think item balance will be easier if you split stats and passive and they were bought separately. Okay, I don't really know what that means. I'm all in favor of item balance in terms of like powerful passive items have lower base stats, but I think buying them separately is a bit of like pointless complexity, to be honest. Invade meta was a good meta. It allowed for a variety of offensive and defensive characters and stats. The meta was more enjoyable to play and it made watching SPL more exciting. I do kind of agree with this. I know a lot of people hate invades, but it's been so long since we've been able to viably invade, especially viably level 1 invade, that I do kind of wish we saw it come back a little bit. Definitely made SPL more exciting. Whether or not it was more exciting for the players themselves in the SPL, I don't know, because if you just get like 5-man invaded and lose the game off of it before the game even starts, I mean, obviously they don't lose the game off of it, but they get put substantially behind. That might be kind of frustrating for the SPL players playing, but yeah, it was very exciting to watch invades and stuff. I don't know if this is a hot take, but aggro is single-handedly reviving Smite God design. I mean, yeah, we did just recently get Marman, who is an aggro god. As far as I know, aggro has done Maui, Ishel, and Marman. Maui is great. Ishel is one of the best designs. Sorry, not Ishel. Ishel is decent, in my opinion. Marman is one of the best designs we've had in years. So yeah, I would kind of agree with this take. Whether he's single-handedly reviving Smite God design is a bit apocalyptic. I think his designs are amazing, and I always look forward to them. But I don't know about single-handedly reviving Smite God design. That throws a little bit of shade on the other designs as well. Like, even Lomi's designs, who, like, I'm not a huge fan of her designs a lot of the time, especially, like, Matikaras and Ishtar, but Charon was great, and that's her Lomi god. So, like, obviously, designers can have great gods regardless, and it's not just aggro single-handedly carrying the entire god design team. The other designers do have a lot to offer. But yeah, aggro designs are often more sort of, like, intricate and skill testing, and have a lot of interesting mechanics with them and stuff like that, which I do like. My hot take is that junglers should almost always play on the solo side of the map for 1 to 2 blues and then play around mid or ADC. No reasoning given for this, and I have to say I completely disagree. Yes, in certain situations, camping the enemy solo's blue can be, like, a good idea, or, like, defending your blue if the enemy is camping your solo's blue. The reality is, for the most part, as soon as a solo laner gets a defense item online, it's very hard to gank that lane if they're playing safely. Especially if they're on a pick like a Wukong or an Amaterasu or whatever that's just, like, insanely safe in lane. So yeah, I don't think I actually agree with this. You can usually get more done in mid and ADC in the early game in terms of, like, your burst damage and stuff. Ganking solos is actually really hard, and if you focus too much on solo and don't focus on it in the right way, you can easily just put yourself behind and put your other lanes behind because the enemy jungle is, like, actually active. Metas are better when the burst is low than high. This could really only be possible for characters to fully burst people when they build for it, and the survivability is higher than average. No burst is bad, but everyone bursting is even worse. I would generally agree with this. I think, obviously, you don't want to go to either extreme, but I think leaning on the side of less burst is probably a good idea. It allows for more skill-expressive fights. You don't die within 1 second of getting CC'd and stuff like that. Little bit more room for mistakes, but also that means there's a little bit more room for, you know, making plays and stuff like that, which I do like. Okay, this guy's got a few hot takes. Anti-heal items shouldn't have secondary passives. Definitely disagree. I think just them having anti-heal is quite boring, and them adding additional passives was really cool. Obviously, if you want to nerf the cost or the damage on the secondary passive or whatever, you can do that to make sure they're balanced, but I think it's much more interesting for them to have secondary passives. Healing and anti-heal aren't any better after the changes. I might agree with this one, to be honest. It's lessened, but whether it's any better or not, especially healing, like, I think self-sustain is worse. Healing is basically the same. Like, healers as team healing is still really strong. It didn't really do anything to solve the team healing problem. All it did really was nerf self-sustain and, like, in-kit healing for a lot of gods. So yeah, honestly, overall, I would kind of agree with this. They aren't any better after the changes. Protection should scale more linearly. This is a very interesting one, because effective health does scale linearly, but protections don't scale linearly. It's a very weird thing. Basically, say you take 2,000 damage with 0 prots, you take 2,000 damage, right? If you have 100 prots, that reduces damage you take by 50%, so you need to take 4,000 damage. So 2,000 more on the initial 2,000. And then if you had 200 prots, you take 1/3 damage, so you would need 6,000 raw damage to kill you. So you can see it's going like 2,000, 4,000, 6,000, and it'd be 8,000 with 300 prots. So effective health, which is actually how tanky you actually are, does scale linearly. But protections in themselves, if you take out health from the equation entirely, doesn't scale linearly. But yeah, tankiness overall, if you count about effective health, actually does scale linearly. Kins is too strong and needs a nerf. Nah, I wouldn't say so. I think Kins is fine. It's always important to have Kins be a viable option to keep tanks in check as hunters. Obviously, hunter builds have other problems that we could talk about. You know, the fact that you can build Kins and crit in the same build and still almost cap out on attack speed, percent pen, and lifesteal. Like, that is just kind of insane. I think way too many items have like, loads of stats for absolutely no reason. That would be my hot take. But yeah, it's absolutely important for Kins to be strong in terms of, like, having that itemization option there for hunters if they want to destroy tanks. Hybrid items need to make a comeback. I would agree with this, yeah. It's very nice to have hybrid items available as a tank player. This guy seems like a tank player in general. Kins is too strong, hybrid items need to come back, probably a tank player. RPG adventures are better than the rest of the game. So I do disagree. But the RPG adventures were a lot of fun. They were a fun, like, little side mode. Obviously, I wouldn't invest 4,000 hours in them like I've invested in regular Smite, but they were a lot of fun, for sure. The Roman pantheons have been merged into the Greek pantheon, creating a Greco-Roman pantheon. Most of the gods in it are Greek, with the exception of Janus, Bellona, and Sylvanus. Mercury is Hermes, Terra is Gaia, etc. So this is interesting, and I wouldn't necessarily be opposed to this. I think it'd be fine to merge them into one pantheon. You could also even do, like, skins then, based on that. So, like, you would have a Gaia Terra skin, or a Hermes Mercury skin, or a, like, Mars Ares skin and stuff like that, where you can play as essentially the Roman or Greek counterpart of whatever is in the game. I think that'd be really cool. Season 3 Conquest was the best map we have ever received, with the exception of the Fire Giant Fellas that gave movement speed buff. Aesthetically and how the map flowed, it was the best by far. Yeah, I do disagree with this one. Season 3 was a very weird time. Blue buff was not on the side of the lane anymore. You had to trek halfway across into your own jungle to get your own blue buff as a solo laner, which sucked. Speed buff being neutral and contestable fire elementals was probably one of the single worst changes ever made to the Conquest map of all time. That was just horrendous. It would just led to so much snowball, which honestly in this meta might sound like a relief, you know, a bit more snowball with how late games are going right now, but it was far too snowbally. The jungler that secured that first speed just had such a massive advantage on the enemy jungler. They could just always be ahead of them on rotations and ganks and farming and stuff. It was insane. The map has become overly big, which makes interesting macro plays hard to make work without losing FG. No, I completely disagree with this. I think if anything, the map's too small. You can rotate from, like, mid lane to any of the side lanes in about 10 seconds, and it just means that, like, a lot of rotations and, like, trying to catch people out just get countered. Like, you just get counter ganked, or you get, like, counter played. And half the reason this guy's saying, like, you lose FG if you try and make, like, a macro play is he's probably trying to, like, either pull the Gold Fury or gank duo in. He's instantly losing FG, and that's because the enemies can get from mid to FG in 5 seconds. That's the reason you're losing it. If the map was bigger, the enemy team would actually have to be more committed to going to that Fire Giant play, rather than, like, you know, being able to potentially look around, see that you're doing Gold Fury, and then run over. They would have to immediately commit to going to that FG play, because it'd be much further away from, like, mid lane, for example. Don't expect the jungler to gank when you have no lane pressure. Okay, this is a bit of a, like, in-your-face hot take, but I do semi-agree with it. A lot of the time, like, as a jungler, I'm just sitting there and I'm like, someone's spamming to gank their lane, and I'm like, really, bro? The enemy is full health, you're 30% health, it's a solo laner. What on earth can I possibly do to help you here? I can come in and poke him a little bit, waste a bunch of my time to, like, maybe get you a little bit of pressure back in the lane, but that's all I can do. Like, there's no way I can kill him if they're... Like, you gotta poke him down a bit, right? You know, take some trades, poke him down to, like, half health, then maybe I can come in and do something for you. But also, you know, don't expect the jungler to gank when you have no lane pressure. Sometimes you do just need to gank a lane, because if they have no pressure all the time, they're just going to fall too far behind, and then that enemy solo or that enemy ADC or whatever is going to become a big problem in the late game. Conquest matches should start at level 3 like all other game modes. You already get level 2 off of jungle stats this season, if not first wave, and level 3 typically comes quickly after. This I definitely don't agree with. I think the level 1 start is much more interesting, and also if you start at level 3 and then you do your jungle start and then you get your first wave, you're going to be like level 4 by that point. And at that point, you've just skipped the early game. You have all of your abilities online. It didn't really matter at all. Apache solo is crazy slept on. Nobody knows how to deal with his annoyances. I don't even know if it's slept on anymore, given that it's been pulled out by, like, Baskin and Salt in the Pro League quite a lot. Apache solo is basically like a counter matchup. He counters a lot of solo laners, because, like, any that rely on ability healing self-sustain, he just kind of destroys them with the 3-stun and the anti-heal and stuff like that, the 1 anti-heal. So yeah, Apache is really like a meta check. You know, if a lot of the meta gods are countered by Apache solo, it's probably going to be quite good. Old Loki was the most fun version of Loki. To play as, yeah, I do agree with this one. Old Loki was more fun than current Loki to play as. What is nice about new Loki, though, is that you can play him like Bruiser tank from solo, and it actually works, whereas it wouldn't really have worked before with his ult kit. It was way too, like, focused on bursting, like, with that 1 auto after you ult in, so... in terms of playing against, though, Loki is much more fun to play against in his new kit. A lot more counterplay available and stuff like that. You don't just have to, like, basically have beats aegis or instantly die. There's a little bit more counterplay to it. So yeah, overall, I do think the Loki rework was good, just because it made him way less frustrating to play against, even if it sacrificed a little bit of fun in terms of playing as him. Yamoja's mana system shouldn't be a thing. It puts her leagues ahead of the majority of other supports, with the exception of maybe Atlas. No, I disagree with this. I think it's very interesting. Also, with Yamoja, she's still really strong, but she's also been brought down substantially since her release, to the point where, like, there are a lot of other supports that kind of compete with her, and even in this meta, I wouldn't even say she's a top 3 support, to be honest. But yeah, that whole mana system, the Omi system, it's very cool, very unique design, in my opinion. I think Yamoja is a clumsy god, and clumsy gods are always really cool, so... Alright, let's finish this up with some from the Discord server. We've got a bunch of people in here. If you want to join, the link will be in the description of the video. Laugh spammers should uninstall. Nah, absolutely not, dude. Laugh spamming's great. I love laugh spamming. You can always just mute it if it triggers you too much, and is it an interesting, like, rivalry and stuff like that. My man isn't that OP. People don't know how to aegis her yet. Partially true, but also partially not true. My man is OP. My man's definitely OP. But yes, there will be some counterplay that is discovered, and people will get better at playing against her, and she won't be, like, she's not quite as broken as she seems to be at the moment. Saying something about Smite that everyone agrees with isn't a hot take. Okay, you know what, I also do agree with this, so maybe this is also not a hot take. But yeah, this is true. A lot of people, when you ask for hot takes, just give, like, opinions that everyone's going to agree with. That's not a hot take. Boots should have stayed in the game, and they should bring back rituals, just nerf them a little bit. Boots staying in the game, I disagree. I think the game is a lot better without boots. It makes build paths and build choices much more interesting, in my opinion. You get your items online faster, and you also get a full 6 slots. Well, 5 if you don't include your starter item. Whereas if starter item and boots exist, 2 of your items are already sorted there, and you basically have a 4-item build. So I think boots were a good removal. Bringing back rituals and nerfing them a little bit, I semi-agree with. You can't just bring back rituals the way they were, but I think the idea of bringing back something similar to rituals that you can use in the late game, that are like more interesting power pots and defense pots, for example, could be a good idea, but don't like bring back the combat blink and teleport to gods and stuff, like that's too far. Maman's damage from her 3 shouldn't keep you from backing to fountain. This won't ever make a difference. The backing animation is 5 seconds. You can only stay inside you 2 seconds. So this won't ever make a difference. If you're thinking about trying to like back and take it to the fountain with you, that's never going to happen. The backing animation is way longer than she is inside you for. DMBrandon was good for the Smite community and was good content and memes. Right. I knew DMBrandon was going to get brought up at some point in this video. I think overall, I semi-agree with this. I think he wasn't good for the Smite community. I think overall he was a negative influence on the Smite community, but it was good content and memes. I will agree with that. It was good content and memes. Just being able to like watch the crazy things he does. And also as a caster, he was genuinely good. Like when he was casting the game and you didn't get a lot of his abrasive personality, let's say, through the cast, and he was just casting like in a professional capacity, he was genuinely a really good caster. Unfortunately, less good of a streamer and a bit of a bad influence on the Smite community. So yeah, I semi-agree with this take, but also don't agree with the core idea that he was good for the Smite community. I don't think he was. Smite esports should cease until they can stabilize gameplay over balancing for pros. Disagree with this one completely. I don't even know what it really means, stabilizing gameplay over balancing for pros. Does he mean like balancing around the casuals instead of balancing for the pros? Because that's just a surefire way to kill a game, in my opinion. Because casuals have no idea what they're doing and no idea what's going on. And so if you buff something that casuals think is bad and it turns out it was actually really good the whole time and the pros were using it the whole time and then you buff it, one, it's going to make the pro league way worse because you're just going to have absolutely ridiculously broken shit get buffed because casuals don't know how to use it and the pros do. And also, you're just going to end up with like a game that is just very arbitrarily balanced because what the casual thinks is strong changes non-stop and is not even correct. So I think balancing around someone that actually knows how the game works and stuff like that is a much better idea. One more hot take, Smite is way too casualized and needs to get higher skill ceiling and more opportunities for skill expression. So I do mostly agree with this, to be fair. Way too casualized is like probably a bit too far, but I do think the game is quite casualized in a lot of ways, especially a lot of the god designs are just way too simple. You know, I wish we had more gods like Mama and Brigitte as opposed to gods like Martyrs, for example, in terms of two more recent releases. We should have an option to be able to 3-stack or 5-stack in Ranked Conquest. No 4-stack queues for obvious reasons, but I want to be able to grind with my friends and it's not possible at all. If 5 stacks aren't possible to have, then at least bump up to 3. So In an ideal world, yes, this will be wonderful, and we would all love this. But in the real world, where the population of the rank conquest queues is absolutely minuscule, this just can't happen. Unless you want to sit in a 25-minute queue waiting for another 5-stack to queue into you, you're going to be queuing as a 5-stack into a bunch of randoms, at which point you have a severe advantage, and it will make matchmaking very bad. Smite tutorial should teach players how to use beads, not medclock. Oh yeah, dude, the tutorial's terrible. This isn't even a hot take, but I'll mention it anyway. The tutorial for Smite is absolute ass. It teaches you to play Neath badly, buy Lightblade first item with no starter, and build Meditation Cloak instead of beads. Yeah, the Smite tutorial is fucking ass. I could make a better tutorial in about 5 seconds. I don't know why it's not better than it is. But yeah, there you go. There's some hot takes from my viewers from Discord and from YouTube on what they think about Smite. Some very interesting takes here, some of which I agree with, some of which I highly disagree with. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this one, and do drop a like on the video if you enjoyed this kind of format, as I can make more of these in the future if you guys enjoy me reacting to all your hot takes. But yeah, other than that, I will catch you guys in another video later on. Have a great day, and peace out, you nerds.